Good evening, Tommy. This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. Hope you're doing well. I got your email. I'm going to take a look at 3 stocks for you tonight. We're going to take a look at GNUS Brands, GNUS, followed by BLNK Charging, I believe, BLNK, and then Volkswagen, VWAGY in that order. So we're going to start with GNUS Brands here, and it has not had much fun up until more recently. Since its inception back in 2009, it's basically been an incredible steady downtrend over that period of time. Found a spike low in 2020 and then jumped higher off of that low in the, I'm not exactly sure where this price level was, but it jumped close to about $17, $18 before giving a lot of that back down off of that 2020 high. So it's been a big roller coaster, obviously. The only reason you could be bullish on GNUS is if you believed, since this was such a big down move, that you believed that this was the start of a new uptrend. It seems fairly logical. So if this was the start of a new uptrend, maybe you have something that's going to build and get much bigger. Otherwise, it'd be pretty hard to be bullish. So what we do then is to take a closer look at what's happened off the 2020 low to see if this is kind of the foundation of what could be trendy upside action. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we zoom in and look at that action in 2020, the good news is this up leg does have a general trendy look to it. It's very large. It went from about 6 cents up to about $12 in just a few months. Very sharp move. Seems potential full. However, there's some flaws here. The pullback that happened off of that high really wrecked what was going on here. If it was just to retrace a Fibonacci portion of this up leg, the pullback would have stopped somewhere up here, up in that $4-5 area. Instead, it went below $1. It continued substantially lower. May not look like it using this logarithmic scale, but if we change it to a linear scale, this puts it a little bit more into perspective what really happened. Huge spike up, pretty much gave it all back. It's pretty hard to look at this and say, yeah, this is the start of a new trend and this is just a correction of this new up leg. Doesn't seem like. It seems like this pullback is just as important as this sharp up leg. So the fact that it looks kind of trendy, it's still pretty hard to be bullish on this guy in this light when you see how quickly it reversed and just kind of gave it all back just as quickly. So let's go ahead and zoom in and just look at the downside action here off of the 2020 high. And this is it. It's kind of a funky form, but I wanted to cut off the upside just so we could really zoom in on this downside. And you can see that the downside action itself has a general trendy look to it. And then you have that recovery off of the late 2020 low, and you see this counter trend action back and forth. Not terribly impressive, not the type of stuff that we would expect to see if the uptrend was resuming. So I think the point here is that this down move here off of the 2020 high doesn't look over. There's nothing to suggest it is. In fact, if for anything to happen to suggest that something bigger to the upside is going to occur, you need to at least see trendy upside movement or a move above 175 would be bullish as well. We're not seeing either of those things yet. To me, it doesn't look like a condition that is conducive to higher prices. So let's go ahead and just zoom in on the most recent recovery here. This looks at it. I didn't even label it because it's just not trendy. It looks like choppy price action. It does not look like it wants to head higher in any kind of sustainable way. A move below 84 at any point would really pound home the counter trend nature of this move and would keep it pointing lower back below January's low and beyond. So on GNUS, I'm just not feeling it. I just don't see a lot to really grab onto to be bullish. So I would be careful at least until you see some type of trendy 5-wave upside movement or a move above $1.75. So that one's in the books. Let us go on now to BLNK, BLNK, BLNK Charging. Here's its chart. It has also gone through a very substantial downtrend off of the 2009 low. All these guys kind of moved counter to what happened with the overall market since 2009 was the old bear market low before the uptrend resumed. These guys have gone the other way. This guy was trading up at about 3,600, steadily moved its way down to, I don't know what it was, $1. I don't know exactly. Pretty cheap, whatever it was. It lost 99 point whatever % of its value. Now this one shows a little more promise. You can see the up leg off of that 2020 low looks pretty promising. It looks trendy, generally speaking, and then you have this more choppy pullback off of that 2020 high. So there's some potential there. Now, if this down move was to be corrected by a Fibonacci portion, it would point all the way up here. Now, there's no guarantees that anything like that would happen, but the point is that there's some potential for a larger correction to the upside, or at least some type of larger recovery off that 2020 low. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this action here, see how that fleshes out. When we look at that advance off the 2020 low, like I said, it looks trendy. You have a nice 5-wave move. Each up leg itself takes a nice 5-wave form, and then the pullback that is developed in 2021 is a choppy move. It's started out with what looks like a 3-wave move, and then you had this super extended sideways action for most of 2021. This is the type of stuff we expect from B waves. This doesn't look like a second wave recovery. This looks like a B wave recovery. And then you have that sharper downside action into the 2022 low. The overall pullback off of that high looks generally like an ABC move. So some bullish things going on there. Let's go ahead and zoom in just on the pullback. This fleshes out the details a little bit more. And one thing that it shows us, most importantly, is that it's possible that it could be at a low. If you look at this down leg here, could be an ending C-wave decline. It has a 5-wave form to the downside. Seeing some nice upside action here. It's trading at about 23.50 right now. It would obviously take a very large move to get up to 37. However, if and when it does get above 37, that's going to be a very bullish event, because that will leave this as a nice ABC down move and would look like, again, a bullish event. So the other thing that we can do to look for some solid clue that a low is in is just look at this recovery off of January's low. So let's go ahead and do that now. Has potential. It looks like it could be a trendy move. Like you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you could label this a little bit differently if you wanted to. The bottom line is going to be, as long as it's trading above 2050, the potential will be there that that larger step back here, ABC pullback, is over, and that this is the start of something much more important to the upside. And if we take another step back, it would be something like the start of another sizable up move. So that would be worth your time if it can stay above 2050 and continue to look trendy to the upside off of January's low. That potential will exist. So I can certainly see being bullish on this guy as long as it's able to stay above 2050. So there is that guy. Let's move on now to one that has a little bit more history. That is Volkswagen VWAGY. Now, it was incepted back in 1995. Not sure what this data is here. Not going to worry about it too much. What is clear is that whatever happened to the upside off of that low, I'm calling it a 3, 4, and 5, is over. The reason? Because if this pullback here was just a correction of what's happened to the upside so far, it would have found a low somewhere up here, 45 to 70, somewhere around there, 75. It did not. It continued substantially below 45, moved to about 8, and then has bounced from there. So, point being, whatever this pullback is, it was a very large degree move, because it retraced more than it should have of this up leg that put a high in 2007 or 2008, I suppose. So this is a larger degree pullback. So the question becomes, could this pullback have ended here in 2010? And if so, that would mean that this would have to be trendy upside movement to the upside here, as we're seeing. That becomes a fairly tough sell, but let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at it. This is what I'm seeing here. Now, the down leg off of the 2008 high generally looks like an ABC move. I mean, it was sharp enough to be trendy, but the actual price action looks like a 3-wave move. Okay, maybe that's bullish on some larger time frame, but if you look at the recovery off the 2010 low, this is where it's hard to like it, because you look at this up leg here, looks like an ABC move itself. You have this long, drawn-out move, and like I said before, when you get these long, drawn-out moves, they tend to be B waves more so than second waves. This looks like a big B wave, and it retraced more than 61.8% of this up leg here. So there's really nothing solid and bullish or trendy that's happened to this point. Now, we've gotten this nicer recovery off the 2020 low, and it's possible that that will continue. It tested a 38.2% retracement of this down leg here, found a high and pulled back, which price tends to do, because again, that's a Fibonacci area. That's a Fibonacci resistance zone that it tested there. Now, it's possible that this up leg's not over yet. So that's about the most bullish thing we can come up with. But this looks like one large B wave with the C wave down still to come. It just doesn't look trendy. And if it doesn't look trendy, it's impossible for us to be bullish on any larger time frame or to expect this to be some type of sustainable advancing move. So let's go ahead and just look at this action here off the 2020 low. This is what I'm seeing. I see that potential, again, that it's not over. You have kind of a first wave leading diagonal, some choppy sideways action, wave 2. This looks like a third wave with as big as it's been. And now you have this downside action that's been choppy Generally looks like counter trend price action. This is another case where it would take a pretty substantial move to prove the counter trend nature of this move. It'd have to move up to 40. But that's the level to watch on any longer time frame. A move above that would be bullish and would strongly suggest that wave 5 up has begun. So that's what we're looking for in hard terms. Let's go ahead and just zoom in on this pullback here to see if we can do better. So you look at the action itself. I mean, it's very hard to label. Probably some type of complex move as I have it labeled here. Hard to say for sure, but it very much looks like a counter trend move. It's been mostly sideways. Looks like it's littered with 3-wave patterns. No reason to think that this is the start of a new trend. So that in itself is bullish. What it needs to do, this yellow area here, again, is the Fibonacci support area. It needs to largely stay above 26. If it moves much below there, it'd be hard for me to be bullish because it shouldn't move much below there if the trend is still up. A move above 31 would be the first real clue of any type of low that's happening. We'd obviously want to see that coupled with some trendy upside price action, just 5-wave moves on a very small time frame to really kick this thing off. But the potential would exist. As is, we're not really seeing a sign that this pullback is over, the 2021 down move. But the potential is certainly there for it to end if it can find a low pretty soon and start turning upward and get above that 31 level. Then it would look like a pretty solid opportunity, at least for a move back up to that 2021 high, maybe above in a 5th wave advance. So that's what we're looking at, Tommy. I hope that's helpful for everybody else. Please come visit us at TrendLizard.com. We do this stuff every day using the Elliott Wave Theory, applying it to basically anything you can imagine, stocks, ETFs, crypto, and we're good at it. So come visit us. We'll see you soon. Y'all take care.